most of it ended up. I think it sort of showed that there's actually quite a bit of tolerance and flexibility in the way the balance numbers are set up in general in the game. Like, everybody was really terrified about long range scrams or,
Warp drive active.
150 kHz or whatever, and then about speed creep from micro warp drive and afterburner changes. And I mean, I'm sure there's cases where those things have happened and they can feel surprising or powerful, but it seems like for the most part, it's worked out pretty well. And I definitely like how it's affected, trying to fit and optimize, especially at really small scales.
Yeah, and I mean the blob is a pretty good balance for those super rolled ones, but one thing I
Right.
do like about them is like before say you make a fit and you're just like, oh man, I like can't squeeze this like last 1%
Mm-hmm.
power grid off. Now you could just like gravid roll Tech 2 mods and fix it rather than like run a cheap implant or something like that. It's just another cool
Yeah,
alternative, even on the small, like very cheap level, you know?
I do really like how that's worked out. One worry of mine is that, like, I feel like the place where we're closest to having issues is that it's really sensitive to cost in my mind, because at least after it launched and for the majority of the time since, the cost is in a really good place where you did have that option, but you didn't feel obligated to it. Like, I think if, for instance, if mutaplasmids were all free, it would feel like a pretty crappy system because you'd have to just do all this work to get things, um, rolled into a place where you had a more optimal fit. Um, and you would just feel like you were forced to do that, even though it was a lot of just kind of grinding, waiting for the RNG to work out for you. And like, for instance, with the damage control and assault damage control mutaplasmids that dropped from one of the invasion releases, they're so common that I feel like you're just sort of obligated to roll them, which can take quite a while to get one that is how you want it to be, but it's so cheap that you're sort of forced to. And if they were all like that, or if the whole sort of economy around them collapsed in some way, I could see them becoming kind of annoying.
One
But hope.
thought is that you could, like, I'm trying to think of implications on this, but there's systems where you can like roll, and then you could see, okay, this is the result, and it will use the mutaplasmid regardless. But you could say, okay, I'm going to accept these results, or no, roll again, and you're not necessarily using that item. But that gets weird on the really expensive end. The
Yeah, I mean,
module that
part of
is a billion is the
right.
expensive part, not the mutaplasmid.
And part of what I'm excited about with the whole system is that we've consumed a ton of, basically consumed a whole bunch of items, including high-end items that otherwise wouldn't have gotten used. Like, I really like the idea that someone with a lot of money to burn, because when they do that, if someone says, I want whatever, Dead Space rep that's super super nice, and they end up burning through 6 reps to get it. The economies around those items are pretty narrow. Like, there isn't all that many of those Dead Space reps entering the game. So when we increase the level that they're, or the rate they're being consumed, that directly increases the rewards for the people running the content. And we're always short on rewards. Like, we always wish we could make resource harvesting, and at least certain kinds of NPC killing, not all of it, not Nyx ratting or something, but for a lot of stuff, um, like running the abyss, like exploration content, we really like, it's really great to increase consumption on some of those high end items, which this has done. So I wouldn't want to do, like, that was one of the big purposes of the system, I guess, was to make sure we're consuming, or at least try to consume, some of the kind of slower consumption rate items, like faction Dead Space officer items.
Yeah, I think it was a really good change. Um, do you think we'll ever see
A module has
mutaplasmids for
run out
ship
of
hulls?
charges.
Maybe. I mean, I was joking about this in Vegas, but we talked about it a bunch, with at the last CSM summit, and it kind of turned into a joke. But the CSM was just like so incredibly excited, and we could definitely do it. I mean, the system handles it really easily, so It's just a
cool.
matter of deciding that it's something we want. I think there's some definite, you know, potential drawbacks. We get some power creep. We also make it a lot harder to tell what a ship's gonna do. There's already such like blurriness between ship function, and the modules increase that a bit as well. But you can imagine having whatever ships that are
Yeah.
supposed to be slow and now they're super fast or whatever. Like it wouldn't take much attribute change to start really screwing with what you could expect from different hulls. Which I don't know.
Right.
Maybe it's fine. You would see that it's abyssal. You'd know it's kind of a bit of a crapshoot guessing what it's gonna do. But
I was initially actually on the very scared side of the mutaplasma debate, like before they were announced, because I started my first like 2 years of PvPing was faction warfare afterburner frigates, where 30 to 50 meters a second is the knife fight that determines the win. And so like that was like my I was always just afraid that okay, a comet is gonna come in and have this abyssal afterburner, and that's gonna be the difference. And then it ended up being this thing in my head where I was like, oh, I just have to take it into consideration. I look at their speed just like I was already doing to try and figure out if they were doing links or implants.
yep.
And I
Yeah,
think like that's the same debate though around a ship hull is if the speed or the tank or whatever gets modified, then it stacks with skills and different things, and it can be
Yeah,
really
and
scary.
I don't know, it's a weird topic because there's already like just the nature of Eve's fitting system. There's and just kind of attribute system overall. There's such a wide range. You know, yeah, like you say, skills. Sorry, skills, implants, modules, which just how the fit is set up, not to mention the quality of all the modules you choose. Like, there's already this super wide range. So, um, it's just another tool to affect that range and maybe even expands the outer edges of that range by a little bit. But ultimately, you're doing, like you say, your process is kind of the same no matter what. And actually, with ships, in a way, it's a little